with us today, and especially grateful for the students that are with us and their parents. We're grateful that you're here, and we got some kind of, so I understand I kind of I blew it with one family here. I spilled the beans, but anyway, we're here to recognize you for the great things that you're doing. I've asked Lindsay, our recorder, if she'd lead us in a word of prayer, and then we'll have Mallory, who is a student. She's going to stand and she's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Heavenly Father, thank you for this beautiful spring day Thou hast blessed us with. Thank you for the sunshine and the warmth that it's brought. Thank you for the opportunity we have to meet here tonight as citizens and city employees and council. Please bless us that we will be guided to make those decisions that will benefit the city and its residents. And we love Thee, and we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Mallory.
I was the one standing in front of it.
We have quite a few people here many that have been here before, but a lot that haven't. So I'm going to sort of introduce the council and the various employees to you, and we'll go to that point. I got over here to my left, Mark Christensen, who is our city administrator, council member Jeff Holt, council member Blair Westergaard. Lyle Vance is asked to be excused, so he's not here with us right now. Myself, Lyle Holmgren, I'm the mayor. Council member Brett Rohde to my right here, and council member Wes Eastep. Then we have Lindsay Nesson, who just gave us the opening prayer. Paul Fulgham is back in the back somewhere. He was here. He's around here. Then we have, I think, Dustin Cordova. I believe he is not here with us this evening. Brady Hanson, our fire chief. Sarah Mormon, our Main Street manager. Those are a few of the people we got here. They kind of run the city and make sure things work. Let's see, council, we have declaration of conflict of interest. Council, have you gone over the agenda and looked at is there any conflicts of interest?
No.
Okay. Approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda as written.
It's been motioned by Wes and seconded by Blair. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good. Approval of the minutes from February 20, 2024. Council, have you had a chance to look the minutes over? And
Mayor, I have one amendment.
okay,
On page 3, bottom of the page where it says page 3, if you go to that page, Lindsay, the first full paragraph that begins with the council then.
yeah,
Yes, the 10th line down, it says Councilmember Holt said we have a lot of entries into Tremont, et cetera. That was Councilman Vance.
any other changes?
No,
Jeff?
sir.
Are those changes noted? Okay, very good. Thank you. Thanks. Any other changes, council? We're good? All right, I ask a motion for the approval of the minutes.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes with the change that Councilman Holt suggested.
Okay. Motion by
second it.
Brett, seconded by Wes. All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. All right, this is like the most favorite part of the whole meeting right here. So we're going to give out these citizenship awards. These awards are something really special. We've been doing this for more than a year now, where we're recognizing young people from the 2 elementary schools and our intermediate school who are really doing things, and they're just being good citizens. They're they're being kind and they're being nice to their, they're just all these things that they're doing that are making life in these schools much better. Sometimes we hear things that happen in the schools, and we all kind of breaks our heart to hear some of the things that might happen. These are some real positive things that are going on, and we want to recognize that. So with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call out your name, and then you're going to just come up and we're going to give you a certificate and a little prize, a little gift certificate. And with that, and then what I'm going to ask you to do is just stay up here with us for just a few minutes because we want to get a picture. Okay. From North Park Elementary, we have Ellie Newman. Also from North Park, Miles Archibald. There you go. Also from North Park, these are all until I change. Ruthie Hawks.
Thank you.
Carla Barraza. We'll make sure, if they're not here, we'll make sure they get their certificate and their gift. Brianna Ostermiller. Good job. From McKinley School. Were you from McKinley? Or North Park? Okay. Now we're at McKinley School. Griffin Burnett. From McKinley School, Jackson Butler Anderson. Good job. From McKinley School, Brianna Garcia. And Noah Stanger. Are they here in the back? You're able to hear. Okay. Cassidy Wilmore. Let's see. And then last but not least, Mallory Hart. Oh, I'm sorry, one more. Melina Nilazko. I pronounce that right? Very good, thank you. And then we'll want to make sure we get a picture. of you.
Lyle, did we miss anybody? Ask the
Did we
parents.
miss anyone?
Just want to make sure.
Well, did we miss you?
No, sorry.
Okay, all right. Okay, can we kind of crowd in so we can get a picture of y'all and then I'll stand.
Because I slobbered on myself.
You did.
We'll stand together.
1, 2, 3.
We got plenty of time if you want to come up closer, whatever. We're easy.
Some kid just walked in. I'm wondering if.
I think we have one.
Is this one of our students that just showed up? Okay, come on up. What's your name? Okay.
Brianna? You got Brianna.
Thank you.
To get in the picture.
Just anywhere over here, yeah.
Sarah's coming back. There we go. And Sarah, tell everybody where we post this.
Social media, Facebook and Instagram. Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thank you. Okay. Next, we have our public comment period. This is an opportunity for you to address the city council regarding your concerns or ideas. We're asking you to keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. I think there's some that might be just a smidgen longer than that. They asked if they could do that. I said it would be okay. This is, like I said, an opportunity to talk about by the way, thank you, everybody, as you exit. You're welcome to stay. We need to be careful that we don't make comments about individuals or that kind of thing. We can talk about issues or problems and that kind of deal, but try to avoid calling out names and that sort of thing. And the time is now yours.
They need to mention their name, Lyle.
Oh, yeah, if you'll stand and just give us your name so when we do the minutes, we'll know who was speaker.
My name's Jed Abbott, and I was asked to put together the concept drawing for the Midland Veterans Square. And we went together as a group of people. We had some veterans and some people who were not veterans. We've all kind of put this together. And we came up with a concept, and we decided that leaving the clock tower there would really be a good thing for a number of reasons. One is we could mount the Constitution right on the front of the clock tower so everybody can read the Constitution and understand what it's about. And then we thought an archway on each side of it so people had a place that they knew where you actually entered and everything. And then going down the sides, we thought we'd put some monuments for World War I, II, Vietnam, Korea, and all of the others that we haven't even touched yet. And then along with that, we thought we could put in the center of the whole thing, put a new flag, a much larger, much bigger flag, so people can recognize it. And one of the monuments that we was talking about is the Iwo Jima Monument. Now, I don't know how many of you have ever seen it or have ever driven around it. As you drive around it, you can actually watch the flag rise. And originally we thought that it'd be good on the east side. Now that we talked about it a little bit, if we put it on the west side, then people as they drive around there could actually see that, if we do this. Like I said, it's a concept. But this would make this a much greater place for people to come and look and see. We thought some panels along the sidewalk that were interactive so that you could actually push a button and it would tell you about who these people were and what they were all about. You know, men like the Borgster brothers, Charlie Goodluff, Jim Tazoy, Gil Halverson, you know, all these different men that we've had come from here that have been very, very special people. Then we've never had anything that really documents the women. And we thought that would be a really good thing to do because the women are very important in there. All you gotta do is wake up in the bed after you've been injured and you'll know how important they are. Then we thought we should do a list of the POWs, a list of the MIAs, because we still have 1,700 and some odd MIAs in Vietnam alone. You know, of course, along with this, we'd have to have more lighting. We'd have to have, our thought was to put an ADA capable restroom in the back corner so that we could have that for the people that come. And then move the monument that's already there of the children, move it over close to where the existing monuments are at, and have them a little bit above them, because we kind of feel like that's one of those things where they're the children that never were.
Yeah.
We just thought, and this is, like I said, this is just a concept.
Jed, do you have a copy? Do you have something you can show us?
I do have a
Or leave,
copy.
leave with us?
I do have a copy for each one of you.
Okay, that'd be great. If you could do that, we'd
Yeah.
much appreciate that.
There's a whole bunch. Each page has a little less on so you can actually physically see what's there.
Okay.
And it's not to scale. I didn't have.
Oh, no,
anything to start
we're-
with or anything to scale.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thanks, Jed.
But
Christy Bocat, as stated in the October 2023 newsletter, transparency promotes accountability, provides an opportunity for residents to be informed about what's going on in their community. You started Midland Square project about 2 years ago. The public really wasn't informed, even though it was on a one-line agenda on the city council meeting. After finding out January 2nd and then seeing the rendering January 16th, I found it to be rather one-sided and self-serving. I obtained a copy of the grant for myself. Upon reading the grant, there was no mention of the War Memorial. I called the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity, and I spoke with the person that approved the grant at the time. I stated the grant is falsified and misleading. He said, I agree with you to an extent. He says, let's call it intentional omission. He says, because if we call it falsifying, we have to get attorneys and lawyers involved. We went through the grant application for the Veterans Memorial, and I says, do you see it there? And he says, no, I do not. And he says, we leave it up to the cities to give a full spectrum of the site. And I says, is that stated there? And he goes, no, it's not. Many things were brought up in that conversation. At that time, I told him about how Midland Square came about. A.C. Christensen, the Borgstrom brothers, the Statue of the Children, and how 19 communities pulled together. I said the city will not be leaving room for the veterans to expand with what they have going on right now, and that's what they'd like to do. He says, why didn't these comments be brought up in a public forum, in an open house? And I says, because we didn't have one. He stated, he says, a lot of communities do that nowadays. They just do it on their own and don't involve the cut. He says it's unfortunate. He said the state did not do their due diligence, and he owned it on the grant. No one did a site check. And he says, we own that mistake. He did a Google search of Midland Square, and he saw that the War Memorial was there, and he says, it is there, big as ever. And he says, is there another place? And I said, yes, there is. And he did a search of Schumann Park, and he says, this is a perfect place for what is being proposed. And I says, it is, but it was stated it's too far from Main Street. He says, I don't agree with that. I contacted KSL, and this is what they said in the article. A gentleman from the Utah Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity told KSL, in light of the concerns of the Veterans Memorial at Midland Square, we're open to reviewing, accepting modifications to the location, timeline and scope of the project. Recognize communities know their economic needs best. We understand community input can take initial time on the project's success. We want to provide flexibility to pivot or modify plans for the community to survive. I don't regret calling the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity. It is, however, very unfortunate that the truth was not stated in the application right from the first.
Thanks, Christy.
Jamie Poppleton. If you want something to change, you have to attempt to help make that change. And in order to make that change, you cannot give up. I don't believe I can give up on helping the veterans get a spectacular memorial square that everyone could be proud of. I am recommending the council amend the approved grant application to allow the veterans and the city and the residents to have a say in where the money from the grant is used. As of now, the grant does not mention the memorial, and I figured out why. The city never included the memorial in the grant application because the city members and others who have been involved in the grant have always said, the memorial is separate from the park. The park is not part of the memorial. We all know that's been ongoing. It has been stated in the newsletter and on social media from city officials and from city officials' personal mouths. But if that is the case, then why is the children's statue and the pavers located elsewhere in the park and not by the memorial? One would assume that would be part of the Veterans Memorial. But in assuming things, we end up where we are now. The city members assumed that it would not bother the veterans to leave them out, even though the veterans and some residents assume the memorial was the entire park. No one really knew the truth. City members assumed, since hardly no one attends the meetings anymore, that we don't care. This is what happens when we assume. Assuming does nothing but cause some things to become hidden. Those hidden things become omitted in certain documents, and when it comes to something so personal to people, it creates a backlash and hate, as we have all seen or recently read. Did the city members or all parties involved with the grant application assume it would not bother the veterans? Or was it an opportunity to assume they knew the entire park was not a memorial and Tremont City will do what it wants without input from others? As you can clearly see, this should have been, in my opinion, handled differently. I was the one who contacted Fox 13 to break the story because I was so hurt that our elected officials turned the other cheek after several conversations and were going to dig in their heels and start the project without even talking to the veterans or getting feedback from the community. I believe the veterans deserve I believe the veterans deserve some or most of the grant money to help construct a beautiful centerpiece for our city. Here is why. I obtained a copy of the grant online, and the budget for the grant amount is $405,720. To construct a stage, build restrooms, landscaping removal, and installation would approximately be $465,000, according to one of the budgets. In addition, there's $75,000 that is for 7 certain officials and city workers who are a part of the project. Don't they already get paid to do their job they were hired to do? Shouldn't everyone involved get paid for their time and participation? When you add that all up, Schumann and Library Park, as I call it, already has a very nice stage, a Bowery, already has restrooms, and already have beautiful landscaping and marvelous trees. What it doesn't have is electrical power upgrades. Out of the 405 plus the matching funds, if Schumann Park could use $100,000 and the rest could go to the Veterans Memorial in downtown, I think it would bring people from all walks of life and maybe help with people getting involved for committees and residents and volunteers. And a large portion of Tremont, including downtown, is on the National Historical Registry. The memorial is part of downtown Main Street. It is or can be the centerpiece of Tremont. Please do your part in declining or letting us know if you choose to decline to alter the grant. Thank you.
Jamie, what did you say about that $75,000?
There's part on the budget that says there's $75,000 that is for administration and planning.
So, I can.
Yeah.
That if you want me to.
Yeah, please.
So they allow us to add some staff time. So it's not like the staff's getting double paid. It would be time that we were working on the project for it, as well as planning. We don't have the expertise to put the architecture together or the concept plans together, and then our engineer also puts the construction documents together, and so that's where that money would go to. A lot of the planning that goes into the.
So the 7 people that are listed on the grant on the grant, which are some elected officials, it says there that some of those funds will go to them.
No,
Not at all.
nothing,
No, they don't
nothing,
get paid any.
nothing to me. I know that much.
Okay.
So, yeah, there would be, the
staff-
money
the
would go
staff-
to like engineers and people that, technical type stuff that we'd have to hire
Save
to.
money somewhere else by not paying them for whatever else.
All right, it just listed 7
Yeah.
workers, so it could have just been a little maybe.
In-kind work from the city staff. They wouldn't get the extra money. They would get what they're getting paid, but we can include it
Okay,
in the grant, the budget. And then the other would be the technical.
so not really administration, just more so the engineering and the planning
There
and,
you go.
Yeah, the administration of the grant itself, the engineering and the planning.
Technical type stuff.
okay, perfect. Thank you for clarifying.
Thanks, Jamie.
My name is John McClellan, local veteran. I just have 2 requests, if I may, to present. I would like to get on record as soon as we can, a cleanup day, housekeeping at the park. I think it's overdue. I know you had plans to start other things, but anyway, I would like to see, obviously, what needs to be taken care of is the Christmas decor that's still there.
It's gone.
Well, the wraps around poles was there tonight when I went by.
Oh, all the wreaths and all that, I know. are
Okay,
gone.
well, there's some remnants there, but anyway, the big things, and it wouldn't hurt my feelings if the two big spruce trees were taken out entirely, because we all know it's a safety hazard, and it would open up the park. And of course, we can't have a flag raising. We'd like to have a flag raising ceremony there if we can get the trees trimmed so they're not tearing up the flags. That's,
We did get some of that one tree, they did prune it up a little bit, and we'll go over and take a look at it. see what you
Okay.
think.
yeah, and, you know, and I think there's volunteers in the city, you know, and even among the veterans that would help. If the liability allows for the city, we would pitch in. But we'd like to see it cleaned up and then have a flag raising ceremony when we can put up some new flags.
I think we talked about this today, about getting new flags and everything, and so whether we have them or not, we're going to get them, and then when we do this cleanup and then a special flag raising.
Okay.
Zach can coordinate with you. He has ordered the flags. They're on their way here. And he knows about the Christmas too, so we'll.
Okay, that's awesome. We'd like to get started on that. Like I said, if it's acceptable, I'm sure we can put some volunteers together to help. The other request would be, and I know how construction functions, I know all about that. I know you can't put the cart before the horse, but the mention of the children in the memorial, we'd like to, as soon as possible, design and locate a place that we can put them and incorporate them into the memorial so they're not being dismissed. And I'd like to work with whoever on the design or whatever we have to do, but if we can expedite that, that would be awesome as well. While we're designing the rest of the park or whatever we have to do, but that would be awesome if we can do that. So that's my two requests. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, John.
My name is Bill Rosema, for those that remember me or don't remember me. Anybody know what the average lifespan of an infantryman when he hits the beach is? 7.5 seconds. When it comes to the park out here, you know, and the businesses want to draw people in, I don't think the park changes will draw people to the businesses. I think better parking situation would maybe draw people to the businesses. And not only that, things are expensive now. There's a lot of people not buying. If they can't afford it, they're not buying it. They're trying to feed their families and pay rent. So there's a lot of people up against it. And I'm sure there's a lot of factors, but parking is definitely an issue if you're wanting to increase business on Main Street. And I want to change gears for just a minute and go off subject. I'm here to talk about trailers. Haven't heard anything lately about this. Having trailers parked on a city street, dropped or hooked up to a vehicle is a major safety hazard. Last time I was in here, I suggested that we drop it to a 10-hour maximum. I think the first warning is just a warning, doesn't cost them anything. Second time, it's $100 fine. Third time, $200, and for every violation after that, $300. You have to hold people accountable, or they're not going to follow the law. And I honestly believe that trailers should not be allowed. You know, you got to give people time to unload or load or clean their RV or whatever. Load up their RV. They need time to do that, but it should be a limited time, and no trailers should be allowed to be parked on a street after 10 p.m. at night. And what that would do, if there's no trailers allowed on the street after 10, and when law enforcement drives by and they see a trailer, they know it's not supposed to be there. It'd be easier for them to address it because it's an obvious violation. We got to do something about this before somebody's kid gets killed. It's too late when somebody dies.
Are you still having issues?
There's a utility trailer on 930 South right now, and I noticed it at noon today. You know, right now under the current law, they got 24 hours, but it's dropped and sitting there. It's a small utility trailer,
but it's still an obstruction. And you have to have a zero tolerance attitude on this. Even if it's a flatbed trailer that you can see across, through, or whatever, if you allow people to park a flatbed trailer on the street, then if they can do it, then Joe down the street thinks he can do it pretty soon. You got nothing but a parking lot full of trailers and you're dodging and it's a mess.
Yep.
So
Okay.
it needs to be enforced. If there's no consequences, if all we're doing is warning them like we're doing currently, there's no consequences, there's no deterrence. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Can I just make a comment? I wasn't gonna come up. It's a big issue in Sandalwood.
Sandalwood is a big issue over there. Okay, that's good. Thank you. Debbie?
Hi, I'm Kim Boket. I just wanted to come tonight, and it might hit on a point that gentleman just made. My husband Bruce and I have been currently assigned as the Just Serve Area Specialist in the Tremont and the surrounding communities in Box Elder County. So what our task is to try to combine volunteers with projects. And we have the Just Serve website that is available for organizations or whoever needs helping hands to get volunteers and projects hooked up together. So I have a few business cards. I'm going to give them to Mark. We have an April, the Global Youth Service Month is April, so would love to get some projects on there for the youth to come out and help with. So whether it's cleaning up the parks, planting flowers, helping at Peterson Park, anything like that throughout the community. So I'm going to give these to
Do you have a
Mark.
phone number or some way that we can reach?
I've got business
Right.
cards and this, and Mark knows how to find me, so. Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll be reaching out. We got
Thanks
ideas.
for what you do.
We've got ideas.
Hi, guys, Dean Anderson, and golly, I hope this Midland Square deal can get resolved. I'd like to take the minutes and talk about the RCOG grant that was submitted. And the grant funding is up to $600,000. And whereas Tremont City is eligible for the community grant is Mayor Holmgren, Sarah Moorhan, Main Street Manager, Sean Warnke, and Mark Christensen. Those are the guys that was submitted. You guys, you know this paper because you was on it. Okay? And originally it says, as described in Exhibit B, proposed grant funding for infrastructure for a permanent stage, pedestals, and public restrooms. Now, in order for this to work, Tremont City has to have matching funds. And it's 30% of the matching funds. And where they're going to get that is through an RDA grant. And the RD grant comes from a local developer. And the local developer is Micah Capner.
Yeah, you're right. We're just not calling out name. If you can
Oh,
just.
I can't say that, local developer.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Sorry, I take that back.
Okay.
I take that back. And that has to be paid back. And that has to come from your tax dollars, so that you know that. Now then, moving along. In 1994, the building burned down, and the city purchased that with some help from my brother-in-law and sister-in-law. Now, that's caused some controversy, but it did happen, Mayor. I know you talked different about it, but it happened. Midland Square is on .06 acres. I'm gonna talk fast so we can get here. We have a Main Street manager, is a process of creating promotions and events. In 2002, they had a farmer's market. 30 vendors, food trucks selling baked produce, baked goods, handcrafts, and food. Hundreds of people showed up to participate. Moving along, now I want to put these words out for you guys to understand. Embellish, implied, mislead in order to get the grant. Okay, Midland Square, while Midland Square Farmers Market was successful, the event demonstrated a need to improve the space in a permanent stage, power pedestals for vendors with restrooms, including concerts in May, farmers markets in October and June and August, movies, Welcome to Tremont Kickoff Fair Parade, fine arts, summer, food trucks, May, trick or treat in October, holidays, holiday events. Be interested to know what the fire department say is the capacity for people in .60 acres. Something for you guys to look at. Hundreds of people. Okay, moving along, Main Street manager will,
Why don't we try to start wrapping it up a little bit, Dean, if you can.
I'm hurrying real fast.
Okay.
This is important.
Thank you. Yep.
Main Street manager is gonna have such as local bands, dance studio, theater clubs, farmers market. They'll need a public restroom to enhance the facilities. Some additional events in Midland Square will be Mardi Gras. So Mayor, I went out and bought a whole bunch of beaded necklaces for this. I'm just kidding, because it's a family celebration, February, children's art, so on and so forth. Okay. I gotta move on, because you want me to sit down, but this is kind of important. Tremont, the city's decision to focus on downtown investments has increased property values. Confidence to invest in Tremont and retail. Currently, 3 buildings within the downtown area are being restored. One of those buildings is adjacent to Midland Square. The owners intend to renovate the historic building to include townhomes and an upscale restaurant. This will employ 10 to 20 employees. Embellish, looks good for a grant. The building is still vacant. Okay. Tremont is making a concert effort to leverage Box Elder County Fair Parade Rodeo more fully for Tremont City. A kickoff party for Midland Square County Fair draws 100,000 people. This is a city's single most significant tourism draw. During that month, city sales tax jumps 18%. The city believes that creating a kickoff party in Midland Square will bring an additional 10% or 100,000 people. Embellish.
You know how many people are at the county fair. Thank you. Thanks, Dean. Appreciate your time.
Again, embellish, implied.
Thank you for your time.
Well,
You've had 3 minutes longer than anybody else.
well, and I thank you, but implied, embellish, that's how you get a grant, maybe.
Scott Mormon. It frustrates me that city council is considering postponing or stopping the renovation of Midland Square. To many of us, it looks like that they are catering to the loud, angry minority rather than the entire community. Many of these angry residents have told me that I have not lived here long enough for my opinion to matter. I believe the majority of the residents support this project. I simply do not have, they just simply don't have the time or the patience to show up to the meetings. Rather, they're spending their time making a living for their family and working multiple jobs. And my wife and I have talked to countless people over the years about this project. They are all very excited about it. It is important for City Council to focus on the long-term needs rather than the short-term praises of residents. My wife and I support the veterans and are eternally grateful for the sacrifices they have made and their families have given. My grandfather was in World War II. Both of my wife's grandfathers have served. Both of my grandfathers have served, and many of their families serve today. I understand the sacredness of the memorial and the importance of it. I believe updating the square will bring activity downtown and will allow for more people to learn about the memorial and the veterans of our community. Tree-Martin is the crossroads of northern Utah. Midland Square has always been a central gathering place for the community, especially when the hotel stood in its place. This project is the next step in preserving the atmosphere, helping to revive the dying downtown. A booming economic downtown is just what is not just for the benefit of the businesses, but for everyone who calls Tree-Martin home. We will all benefit from an increase in tax revenue and ideally new businesses that we could attract. We need leaders to put future generations above ourselves and ensuring them of the opportunity of prosperity in our community.
Thank you, Scott.
I didn't see anybody else coming, so I thought, well, okay. I'm Dale Nicholas. I hope you repeal this thing, and if you make some improvements to Midland Square, maybe if you add some bathrooms and whatnot, I think that's a good idea. Maybe you can take some money. Maybe you can buy the old Bob's Body Shop and expand it and make it better, make it part of the square, improve it. Kitty corner from that, you probably ought to be concerned about whether Family Dollar is going to be here much longer or not. Since Family Dollar is closing up 3,900 stores across the U.S., I don't know if this one's on the list or not, but I'd say the odds are pretty good that it would be. So, hey, tear the building down, make some parking space over there. Just a suggestion. So, you want parking, you got to have parking if you're going to try to attract people into town. So I think that's a good way to start. Thanks.
Good idea. Thanks, Dale. Appreciate that.
Sarah Mormon. Over the last several weeks, my husband and I have been verbally attacked by people sitting right here behind me, supporting this project, spreading lies about us while insinuating this project is being done solely to prop up myself and my business, which can't be farther from the truth. I could close my business tomorrow, and I would still fight hard for the completion of this project, as I understand firsthand of its importance. The downtown businesses, not just mine, have been anticipating this for quite some time now. It has also been suggested that my husband and I should have no say in what happens in this town because we weren't born and raised here. However, we had no choice in where or when we were born, but we chose to call Tree-Martin home. We chose to purchase a home here. I have chosen to start a small business here and invest in revitalizing our downtown, community, and other businesses. We have both chosen to serve this community in many ways through our time and talents, and how long someone has lived in this town should not disqualify anyone's opinions. Midland Square was created to drive economic opportunity to the downtown area. Events and activities have taken place in the square from its inception. There are no plans to stop that now, even if this project fails. It is essential to move forward in Midland Square, the heart of our downtown, not Schumann Park, not North Park, or any other park. The goal is to take the original vision for the square and complete it. The original blueprints for Midland Square showed a stage or pavilion in the back, just as proposed in the new plans. Adding bathrooms will allow more people to linger downtown. Experts say that the number one priority for revitalizing a downtown like ours is creating a gathering place that will draw people downtown through programmed events and spontaneous activity. Making the buildings, landscaping, lighting, etc. look pretty comes after that. Doing it that first simply puts lipstick on a pig because that does not draw the people downtown. Once you have the activities and the people downtown, you gain business buy-in. They see an uptick in foot traffic and revenue. They'll start to invest in their businesses and buildings. The city will have increased revenue and attract new business. Business downtown are struggling significantly. I talked with many of them over the last couple of weeks. We are all trying to figure out how to increase foot traffic to our stores to survive. We all agree that the lack of revenue is a foot traffic issue. When people come into our businesses, they are buying. But when you only have 1 or 2 people daily, that's not sustainable for any business. We all see increased foot traffic and revenue when there are events in the square. However, many downtown businesses are currently discussing whether or not to keep their doors open or relocate to another town. Many of us are losing hope that this community or city even cares about the downtown. Why should we keep pouring our finances, times, talents, and souls into businesses that aren't supported? I challenge you to visit these businesses, converse with them, learn about their struggles. I'll end it with this. Last Friday, I attended the Box Elder Business Summit, where Natalie Gochnow of the Gardner Institute was the keynote speaker. She quoted our former governor, Levitt, quote, "Change is going to happen. You can fight change and lose, you can accept change and survive, or you can lead change and prosper," end quote. We need leadership that leads change so we can all prosper. Lastly, I want to quote Socrates. Quote, "The secret of change is to focus all your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new," end quote. I challenge you all to follow the words of our former governor and those of the philosopher when making decisions. Lead the change and focus on building the new. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
Well, I didn't come up here, I'm Debbie Bratner, and I didn't write down anything because I didn't plan on coming up here and talking. But everybody that is for this thinks that if you build it, they will come. I'm sorry, if you build a stage and swing sets in a memorial park, that's not going to help businesses. You need to build businesses in order for people to shop downtown. And having secondhand stores and little cutesy stores is not going to be what we need. I know, we had a business and, I don't have it anymore, but that's because I lost my husband. We need to find things that are going to bring us into town for shopping. And, I'm sad to hear that Family Dollar's going, because that might go. Okay, sorry. I better not quote something that might not happen. I was sad to see that King's went. Sad that Alco went. Holy cow, these are places that we shop all the time, forcing us to go out of town. We need to bring things in that people are going to stay into town and shop instead of going out of town and shopping. Besides, that park is not going to bring people into town. We have Schuman Park, we have Jeannie Stevens Park, we have North Park, and we have Park Meadows Park. How many parks with swings and stuff do we need? We don't need to be putting it where a memorial is. Let's keep that sacred for us to remember people that have died, and then also people that served our country that are still alive. Let's not ruin that by having kids going in there and skateboarding and throwing trash all over. Let's keep it sacred for what it was for. I don't know what else to say. Thank you.
Kelly Hill. First off, I can appreciate the passions and views regarding the proposal. I admire people with an entrepreneurial spirit that take risks and build their dreams and businesses. I think that's an American ideal we're supporting. But I also have a very deep respect and gratitude and reverence for those who have sacrificed some, and some to the ultimate degree, fighting for and protecting the freedom and ideals and foundation of this great nation. And like many in this room, I suspect we may share personal connections to names etched in the service memorial in the square. My wife's father served in World War II, fought at Saipan. He's deceased now. He rarely spoke about it, and when he did, there were very few words. But it was impossible not to recognize the pain and loss in his voice and in his eyes. Her uncle is also etched in one of the panels, and he did sacrifice to the ultimate degree. He was killed at Guam, and I witnessed the pain and tears from his mother and sister many, many years after that day. That sacrifice and loss were still just below the surface. I had the opportunity to meet Gail Halverson in person at a Hill Air Force Base Plane Talk event, where he spent the time to talk to my son individually and some other scouts that we had there, and I was so impressed with that he would take the time and the kindness and the humility and the genuine love of other people, or for other people, and freedom that he had left an indelible impression on me and my son. And I'm going to get to it. I guess I'd like to propose that foot traffic and Midland Square, maybe they can coexist. There's already a self-guided tour. I think maybe building on that, there might be an opportunity to utilize QR codes at each location. Somebody had already mentioned something similar to that. And create a walking tour. I think there's enough in this community that are interesting and worthy of learning about the history and the people who have contributed so much to this area and sacrificed. If you haven't had an opportunity to look at the pamphlet out there that talks about that walking tour, I think that could be integrated. I know it's not a single source of foot traffic, but I think I guess I'm just encouraging people to look at other opportunities. There may be an opportunity along with something like that where businesses could utilize that to maybe introduce their businesses or new businesses, or provide coupons or something like that. I don't know, there's maybe some creative ways that could also be utilized, but I can see I'm out of time. But I hope that the memorial exists as close as possible as it is now. And if it can be improved in support of veterans and maintain the dignity and the reverence that it currently has, I think that would be something worth doing. Thanks.
Thank you, Kelly. Public comment period is closed. Next, we have, by the way, thank you very much for your comments. I tried to jot them down as fast as I could, but I'm sure I missed something. But we've got good people that can keep the minutes. So next, we have a public hearing. This, again, will be, we open this up. Now, there's a difference between public hearing and public comments. Public comments, we can talk about anything that's on your mind. Public hearings are very specific. So I'm going to read what this is all about. So this is what you get to comment on if you choose to do it. To consider amending the annual budget entitled the Tremont City Annual Implementation Budget 2023 to 2024, General Fund, Capital Funds, Enterprise Funds, and Special Funds for the period commencing July 1, 2023 and ending June 30, 2024. Public hearing is now open.
Well, I appreciate your statement and that you're wanting comments, but I don't see anything that we can look at to be able to
We,
know what you're trying to do with the
so what,
budget.
and that's a good question. As I was reading through this, I was thinking that very same thing. I don't know if we could, we're going to discuss it we can discuss it right now and then, so with that, council, should we go on to item number 9A and
Then come back.
and then we would come back? Let's do that. Okay, so new council business?
Yeah, to give a background, budget amendments are a very common thing. Cities have to run on a balanced budget, and each department has to, or cannot overexpend what they've been allotted. And budgets are the best estimate that we can do, that we can provide at the start of the year. And as the city goes forward with their business throughout the year, sometimes unexpected expenditures arise. And most of these are items that are just providing a safeguard so that at the end of the year, the city will have the funds in each budget as to not overexpend in that budget. So in each item, the city has multiple funds, multiple different funds, and the way that this overview is broken down is within each one of those funds, and you can see the color-coordinated cells. They match what revenues were increased to cover the expenses that were also increased. And as we go down, there's things such as extra time for the building inspector that we weren't expecting because we didn't have a history on a building inspector before, and so we put our best guess estimate, and it turns out that he's doing more inspections than what we had estimated, which is offset in the revenues for building permits, so it covers that. There's other things like we put some internet in the parks so that we could have security cameras in the parks, and that came in at a price that was higher than what we had expected. So that's in the general fund. In the capital projects fund, we had a big chip seal project this year. It was a $1.59 million project, and it came in a little bit over budget. We do have money in our fund balance for that fund to cover it with our fund balance. In our capital equipment fund, we talked about the K-9 vehicle that the city would purchase from Garland, and so we are appropriating fund balance to pay for that, which we have fund balance in that one. In our water revenues fund, a couple things. We purchased a lot of extra water meters for the secondary water, covering that from the reserves out of that fund. The treatment plant, that one is a big one. We thought we were going to do a big project with the aerator basin, but that has been delayed, and so we won't be doing that one. So we actually just took that one off the books and decreased the revenue, or decreased the amount of reserves that would come in from.
Question on that one. Is this connected somehow to the increase of capacity at the water treatment plant, or is this totally separate?
The extra aerator basin would increase capacity at the wastewater treatment plant.
So we won't be increasing the capacity this year, or?
Not this current year. The project won't be done. You'll see it in the next year's next year's budget proposal. And then, yeah, the sewer, the East Main sewer line came in at more money, and we had money to pay for that. We just hadn't budgeted it yet. So those are just some things to safeguard against overexpending in any of those line items. And we're not going out for any funding, or it was all money that we have in the savings.
All right, let's back up now that we know what we're talking about. Again, I'll just restate the comment, because that's what we need to be addressing. To consider the amending the annual budget entitled the Tree Mountain City Annual Implementation Budget 2023 to 24, General Fund, Capital Fund, Enterprise Funds, and Special Funds for the period commencing July 1, 23 and ending July 30, 2024.
June 30.
June 30, 2024. Thank you. Public hearing is now open.
My name's Capri. I was just wondering where the police fall into this budget. I know that we had some tax increases, and I know that their building has, mold has been found in the building. I am just wondering what the council is hoping to resolve some of those issues and where that falls into the budget. Or maybe that's a different budget.
The police falls under the first group, the general fund. And some of the increases for police, at 1054 is the police department line. So our new police chief started a SWAT service this year.
Well, I know the equipment's
Worrying
old,
about the mold issue.
the mold, the flooring, there's no heat. I'm hoping that that's on your radar.
Yeah,
To help them, especially with all our tax increases too.
The furnace is part of this, the furnace that went out. And the equipment less than 5,000, that was for some building upgrades. So the police did get, how many different lines? 1, 2, 3, 4 different increases. And then as far as the mold, we put an insurance claim on that, and so we should get proceeds from the
Okay.
insurance.
And, we worry about our officers, we worry about their health, and if they're breathing in that mold, and if they're bringing that moisture in the basement all the time, it's just gonna come back and hurt the city.
Yeah,
So,
so
thank you.
Well, they're in these offices over here till they get that fixed.
Okay, thank you.
They're using these back ones.
Okay, public hearing is closed. Let's go back to item 9A, and now we can sort of deal with this one now. So, discussion and consideration of adopting resolution number 24-19, amending the budget entitled the Tree Mountain City Annual Implementation Budget 2023 to 2024, General Fund, Capital Funds, Enterprise Funds, and Special Funds for the period commencing July 1, 2023 and ending June 30, 2024. Council?
Question. Well, I'll make a motion, we adopt resolution 24-19.
Motion by Wes. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Blair Westergaard. And so for those of you that are kind of new to this, we have to physically say yay or nay to whether, so I'll start with Wes over here.
West aye.
Brett, aye.
Blair, aye.
Aye. Jeff Hope.
Jeff Houghton, aye. Okay, motion passes. Thank you. Item number 9B, discussion and consideration of repealing resolution number 24-01, which approved a final concept plan for Midland Square improvements associated with the Rural Communities Opportunity Grant Award. Do we have any comment on this, council?
Do they know what we're doing here?
So what we're doing is, we're repealing the concept on that the council had approved a month and a half ago, or maybe even a little longer than that now. We're repealing that concept, and going back to sort of the drawing board within certain parameters. We've got a committee organized that we're going to use, a citizen committee made up of pretty good cross-section of individuals in our community. And we'll just start working on that. So that's kind of where we're at.
And then, according to the state, some of that funding can be either pivoted or used if it falls within the correct parameters.
Those are the parameters I'm talking about. You know, this is from Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity, so there's an economic realm to this grant. And so that's kind of, I think that's the sort of the pivot that Brett's talking a little bit about. We can't just decide that we're going to beautify some part of downtown. It has to have an economic purpose. So with that.
I enjoy the opportunity to hear from more of the community, and putting together a committee that can represent the different interests, I think, is an excellent idea.
Yeah.
And will help us to make a more informed decision in the end.
Sure. We expect feedback from them, and we'll keep everybody posted as we're moving along.
And as I commented earlier, I think that we need to develop more of a standard that this becomes the norm for certain projects and whatnot, that we involve the community a little bit earlier on certain projects, you know, and that we still need to define what that is and whatnot. But, and then use that information so the department heads can use that to move forward and continue the process. So I think all we're doing here is just stepping back a little bit and then moving forward again. Okay, so.
I got something. If we went with Jed's plan, half of you are not gonna like it anyway. So somewhere we gotta compromise. You know, I mean, I got family, my mom's uncle was killed in World War II, I got all that, and we weren't ever gonna change that. Never we were gonna change that. We're never gonna put swings in there. I mean, we probably need to get it out and get it a little more informed, but we can't just add to it. I'm new to this part, but I don't know where in the 3 months I've been there, I become a liar because I'm not. So between all of us, we gotta work together. And, you know, some of the stuff Dean said has been going on at that park, and it makes people look at it. So there's two sides to all the stories. So I agree with this, but I just think we gotta be a little more civil than, I mean, everybody's trying to pull something over somebody's eyes, so that's all I gotta say.
Council, we have a resolution on the table.
I'll move to adopt the repeal of resolution number 2401.
Motion by Jeff. Do I have a second on the motion?
I second it.
Second by Blair Westergaard. Brett, we'll start with you.
Brett, aye.
Blair, aye.
Jeff Holt, aye.
West side.
Passes. Thank you. Okay, item number 9C. Discussion and consideration of accepting the discussion and consideration of accepting the Calder annexation petition for further consideration under Utah State annexation law. The annexation petition consists of 35.045 acres of real property located in Box Elder County at 6590 west and 10,000 north. Council?
You can pull it up.
You know what, I'm thinking,
I drove over there today.
Can
I did get a good look at it.
Okay, I'm going to turn the time over to Mark and let him kind of explain, and then, I didn't mean to cut you off, Brett.
Yeah, these don't come, or haven't come along very often, so I just wanted to inform the council at what stage in the process where we are for this. They will probably come along more often because of the because of the meetings we've had with the county, and the county has adopted a policy now that anything within a certain distance of our annexation boundary, if it's touching our annexation boundary, then they will force a landowner to come to us to petition for annexation, because they feel, as well as the city has felt, that development should happen within the cities. More services can be provided for development within cities, and that's where the building should take place, where the services can be provided for them. So some people want to, some people don't, but everybody's going to have to come and if they're within a certain area of our annexation boundary line. This one. So Brody Calder, he's the petitioner. He has done step 1 and step 2. Step 1, he reviewed our annexation policy. He went to the county, and the county has sent mail to all of those within 300 feet of Brody and any of the entities that were involved, meaning the school, the school district, the city, any special services that are within that property. Then step 2, he files an annexation petition, which is like an application. And he filed that on February 7th, and the city then, per our policy, has to come to the city council, and you can either accept or deny that annexation petition. I would encourage you to deny it if you have grounds for denial. If it doesn't fit within our current or future land use plans, or if it doesn't fit, if it creates an island, or if it creates a peninsula, if it's not within our annexation boundary line. All of the things that Brody has, I'll do fit within our annexation plan. Then, so I would encourage the council to accept this, knowing that there are still multiple steps down the road. If you accept it tonight, then the public noticing starts, and the city recorder has 30 days to. I want to say it's 30 days. The timeline's. Yeah, 30 days to give a notice of certification. So what she'll look at is, does this fit the law? Is this something that can happen? And if it's certified, then after the certification period, there's protests that can start, and then there's public noticing. So the clerk will give public noticing for this, and then only certain entities or people can file a protest, and it has to be an entity that's within it. So like the city could be one of the protests, the school district, the county, an entity that it affects. The other one that can file a protest, I don't think we'll have any landowners that meets the qualifications. It's a owner of rural real property, and that is a defined term. Somebody who basically owns 1,000 acres that's zoned in manufacture or agriculture that's next to the annexation. And then if you go to the next slide, there's still more. Then after that, the protests are received. The city has to notify the county boundary commission. The city council can deny the petition at that point. Then the county boundary commission can either give approval or disapprove of it, and at that point the city can deny. And then if no protests are received, we have to hold a public hearing for the annexation, and at that point, the city council can accept or deny. And then if it's approved, then we go through and we give it to the lieutenant governor, and we adopt an ordinance of annexation, and then we finalize it by recording it with the county. So there's a lot of steps moving forward with this specific, or usually with the annexation petition, when the first step back to step 3. You know, we briefly check to see if it falls within all of our annexation policies, and then we bring it to the council for your acceptance
So
or denial.
it kind of looks to me like, you know, this is, if we look at any kind of process we're going through, and this is what I was talking about earlier, this systematic approach to, as we move along a process, we're just coming in and saying, okay, we're willing to listen to this, look at it, listen to some public input, move forward, and then make some decisions later. Is what this step is right here.
Comments?
Yeah.
I'm definitely not prepared to support this at this point in time. I think this is incredibly premature in the process. We weren't even shared with this prior to coming to this meeting. And we haven't been offered a great deal of information that would help to make an informed decision. Case in point, just a few. So what are the fiscal impacts to the city, short-term and long-term, by doing this with all the infrastructure, anything else? The storm and sewer capacities for drainage needs, what is required and how will this be handled? Tax increase possibly from doing this or other similar. The water, wastewater impacts that will go along with this. And now we're delaying that project, and we've had a lot of months where we've been over capacity for the water treatment facility.
Excuse me, we haven't been over.
Excuse me, I'm talking, sir. Thank you very much. Be respectful. I'm not here to debate with a city employee. Let me say my piece. This needs to stop.
Yes, it does. You don't let us talk.
Moderate income housing. How will this relate to the moderate income housing needs for the city? Relevant statutes that might pertain to this, and other current permits that are either already given out or are currently in the finalization process of over 1,900 more homes, housing units that are coming to our town. All this information will help me, and more, quite frankly, to make a more informed decision on this. And where this resolution is requiring you and your staff to already take action and do work, to me, it's premature.
I got one thing, Lyle. Correct me if I'm wrong. When we was kids, the railroad tracks was the city limits, the west railroad tracks, correct? And we've annexed everything into the city west of the railroad tracks on
To the freeway.
to the north into city limits. It was all county before that. Am I wrong?
I'm
Close.
kind of young
Same
and
thing
tender at that point.
east of the Malad.
Yeah.
We've
Yes.
annexed everything east of Malad into our city
Right.
limits.
Right.
I think we've done good so far by expanding, and not that this is gonna fly, but we have to know that our city's been growing for the last 40 years, and there'd be a lot of people that wouldn't have a house if we did not expand. I think we need to keep that opportunity going for everybody else that wants to come to Tremont. Since we can handle, we will double check, make sure that we have water, sewer, fire protection, police protection, and all that. I think we need to offer the people that want to come here just what we've offered everybody that's come to this town.
So and a little bit more background, the city has reached out to the health department and tried to come up with a resolution on how we can stop development right outside our city limits that have septic tanks, and developments that still will go there, but with less standards than what the city will require the developer to purchase, or the developer to provide.
So why is the county allowing that to take place?
Because they don't have the standards that we have.
And the health people are talking to them about this?
Yes, and so what they've done is we've come up with this resolution on, if people next to the city are wanting to annex into the city, then the county will stop them, send them to the city, because we can provide these services. And then at the developer's cost, they will put as much infrastructure in as needed to handle their development.
So if the city doesn't annex it and that development goes in, will the health department be happy?
I
with
would,
what the county requires of them? Or
I
does it
would, I would say no. There's a development just to the.
So it's a county responsibility then?
The west of
in that
them.
point.
But then what may happen, and we've brought the health department in, Jordan Mathis, we brought him in, and he was working in Vernal.
Richfield. Well, Vernal and Richfield was also part of that.
Yeah, anyway, there was a county, and there was a development that was outside of the city limits that put in septic tank, and then those septic tanks failed, was starting to contaminate the groundwater, and they required the state came in and required the city to connect to those residents to the city's infrastructure. The city then was footed with the bill to expand the infrastructure to them, to put all of the homes on that. So this allows us to require that the development that's coming either right next to our city or within our city follows the standards of Tremont City.
Like I say, I would like the information I've requested before I could make an informed decision, or quite frankly, any of us could make an informed decision. I like to go along with, yes, we want to support whoever comes here. I'm also concerned at the same time that as this population continues to boom, that the taxes are going to have to continue to increase. And that's a concern.
And I do believe that we'll have time to give this information. If we deny it, this annexation, what do you call it? The petition is dead, and he can reapply. But he has paid $1,100 to file this annexation
And
petition.
there's multiple steps as we're going along.
If-
That we're going to be able to address all of these issues that
If,
you're talking about.
if the council tables it tonight, then by state law, it's an acceptance of the annexation. And if
We're prohibited from tabling the issue?
yes, because of a timeline that's in the state law. So, let's see. State law is 10-4, and it says, if the petition is not acted upon at the council meeting, which the council meeting has to be after 14 days of the petition and before 30 after 14 days of the petition and before 30 days of the next scheduled meeting after 14 days of the petition. I guess that's how I should say.
And so our next meeting would be outside of that timeframe?
No, this is that next meeting.
This is the next
Yeah.
meeting.
And it says if the petition is not acted upon at that meeting, the petition is considered accepted for further consideration, which then gives you 3 more opportunities to deny this petition.
So
That's
this information that Councilman Holt's asking for, doesn't it come in later on in this process?
So there's other opportunities. He has a concept of what he would like to do in the area, but we still have to go to the planning commission to get a zoning for it, because we don't want to bring in property that's unzoned, or else they can do whatever they want. So we want to bring in property that's zoned, and the planning commission would verify that it's within the city's vision of what the property would come in zone to. And then we can enter into a pre-annexation agreement with this developer, and that's where we can negotiate terms with the infrastructure. We wouldn't allow him to create the subdivision without providing the infrastructure for his development, but there's other terms that we could negotiate with the developer at the pre-annexation agreement.
And so then a lot of this information that we're talking about here will come to light at that point.
Yeah.
And we can either deny it or not.
I'm
sorry.
concerned that some of our plans are lacking a great deal of information. Case in point, the August 2023 Tremont Integrated Land Use Plan, so adopted 7 months ago. This doesn't fit in a lot of ways with that plan. Talks about population levels that we've already exceeded. As a matter of fact, while it gives 2 sets of population estimates, in the best case scenario for larger population, we've exceeded the 2030 population already in that integrated land use plan, adopted 7 months ago. It's like, oh my laws, where's the planning?
What was the population estimate?
2 sets. One of them for 2030 is 9,512. We're already in excess of 12,000. The other estimate is 11,573 for 2030.
They're still estimates, though.
Oh, I got that, but they're so significantly off that, oh my laws, how do you use that for planning purposes?
Yeah, and at the time that that was being put together, I guess that was the best information.
7 months ago.
Well, that's when it was adopted.
We were already ahead of those populations, is my point. In the 2020 census, we already exceeded theirs for 2030, and this is a 2023 report.
This was the one put out by Zion's.
No, this was the land use plan that the city just adopted.
The integrated land use plan. Okay.
Could I make a comment?
No, this is discussion for the council.
So that's and there will be, like I said, the county is going to come forward with multiple annexation, because we asked them to allow us to let people who want to build right outside our city to come and give us so that we don't get a lot of substandard developments that are neighboring right up to our city that we may have to in the future go in and pay for.
That's the real concern is if something fails and then we are required by the state to provide the service to that area where the infrastructure failed, the septic or whatever, then that is, right now it is on the developer to provide the infrastructure. At that point, then it's on the citizens, and then we do have an issue then. So, but I just want to remind, this is just first step. This is, we're not, we can get into the weeds with everything as we're going along. So with that, I guess, though, is there any other discussion?
One other item, I would hope we'd be in a discussion with the county about coordinating better with them about them being responsible if they're zoning and permitting these housing developments.
Well, out in the hinterland especially, there's all kinds of issues. They are working on this. I don't want to sell them short because they are working on this. But,
they don't have any kind of sewer system anywhere.
Yeah, they allow septic.
What's the alternative?
Septic.
They've already done away.
I don't know.
Yeah, and if it's close enough to our lines, which this is very close, I don't remember what road that is, the road that parallels the railroad. Is it the railroad track right there?
Yeah.
That goes out to Barfuss Garage.
Yeah.
It's going all the way, it's stubbed with the Harvest Acres subdivision, it's stubbed right almost to the freeway. And so he wouldn't have to extend too far. And it would be smart to have those homes that are going to come in on septic, on sewer.
All right. This is a consideration of the Calder annexation petition. As it had been stated, I guess no action means action, if I understood you right. Let's see, we're considering accepting the Calder annexation petition. Lindsay, is this a individual vote?
Yeah, it's a resolution.
Okay, so Blair, I'm sorry.
Don't we need a motion?
Oh, well, that's what I'm just, you're right.
Motion.
It's not a resolution yet, but
I agree with Jeff on, we gotta know from Paul if we got enough everything, but I think I'm gonna make a motion that we accept it because it's the first thing, and then we can get all that stuff before we
All that information will come. Yeah.
say. So I'm gonna make that motion that we accept the Calderwood annexation proposal.
Motion by Blair.
I'll second it.
Wes, seconded by Wes. Blair, your turn to be up.
Jeff vote nay.
West Eye.
And Brett, aye.
Motion passes. Thanks, everybody. That was a good discussion, and I think we all learned a great deal from the discussion we just had. I'm kind of really,
Lost me.
the land use plan that you just shared, Councilman Holt, is one we need to look at again. There's some clearly some issues we got to deal with. Thanks, everybody. That concludes our new council business. Calendar items, just a quick review of the calendar that we've got coming up. League of Cities and Town meetings are April 6, 17, 18, and 19. We are not having council meeting on April 16th. So we'll have our first council meeting on the 2nd, but that'll be the only one for the month. And then you can kind of go through the rest of the, and any questions on any of the agenda, on the calendar? Okay, let's move on. We've had a long discussion. Let's see. Is there any unfinished business, council?
Will you guys just follow up on that trailer thing with that was brought up?
With Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just if
I
you
was
wouldn't mind.
surprised because I've been driving by there
Okay.
several times. I haven't seen the issue. That's why I wondered. We'll follow up on that. I don't know if Bill's still here or not, but we'll follow through with that. Administration reports. Mark, anything additional that we need to share?
No, they was brought up to discuss, current or future developments. So a couple of the items that we're working on with the Design or Development Review Committee. Jack in the Box, they have been approved for a site plan. And then a few things came up and they had to amend their site plan. And so they're coming in again tomorrow morning to be reapproved with an amended site plan. They tore the building down on throughout this week.
The Denny's building.
I think the fire department did some training in there. Yep. And then there's kind of an exciting development happening that is something that the city isn't currently working on with other developments, but it's an overlay zone for Envision Estates. That's the one just to the east of Visionary Homes, and it's a kind of a hybrid between what a townhome would be and then what the smallest single family that our zoning allows for, and they're called cottage-style homes. And so they're all single family, they all have their own garages, but they are on smaller lots, something that there's nothing like that for people to buy here in the market currently. And so it's going through Planning Commission. There's a public hearing on it next Tuesday. If you want the information for it before the public hearing, please reach out to us and we can send you the overlay zone of what it's proposing and what it would allow, and you can read through that and question. And then the Planning Commission will make a recommendation. We'll bring it to the City Council with their recommendation.
And that, you got through the DRC report then with that? Okay. Department head reports, let's see, Paul?
I first want to say I owe Councilman Holt an apology, but I give you guys data every month on water, wastewater. If there's something that you truly don't understand, please come to me before things get misquoted out there. Please. Now, a couple things going on. We always knew that our effluent out of our treatment plant was part of our secondary program in the future. The state last year passed a law, and it was one that got slipped through everybody until it came in, to where they were filing back on people's effluent. How it happened is, in 1995, the state came to Central Valley and says, you can't use that water for your golf course. Central Valley took the state to court. The courts ruled that the water belonged to the entity until it's put to the very last beneficial use. Now, Central Valley is a district, so they had water from all kinds of entities in Salt Lake City, South Salt Lake City area. Those cities gave them the right to use that water. What the state's come back and says, if you didn't have reuse in fact in place as of 11 of this past year and didn't have filed, then you lose your right to reuse the water. So we filed, so what we filed and what we found out is, if you want to reuse that water, you have to have mitigation with it, which means we would have to buy canal shares to trade for the state for using our effluent. If we're going to buy canal shares, why would we want to go with putting the infrastructure in to reuse our effluent? Now, I think that law is going to get challenged because it also looks at if you have a permit currently in place and you go to renew that permit, the state could require you to mitigate. Now, this is all part of the Great Salt Lake plan to replenish the Great Salt Lake. So, but at this point, I know we've had that in our mind that we were going to reuse our effluent out of our treatment plant. But if we have to mitigate it, it's not of any value to us to have to buy canal shares to give to the state. To take water, we have to build a special treatment unit on to further treat it with disinfectant, pressurize it, take it across the river to our plant. So, okay, then you probably see, yeah, Jeff?
Question on that, is the league getting engaged on this, trying to help us out?
It hasn't happened yet, and that's it. It's caught everybody off guard when they put that. I don't know how all the water agencies, how the league, how the rural water, how we let this get by, but somehow our legislators slipped it through us. So, and it's all in the name of, I'm sure it was because it was all part of the new Great Salt Lake, Save the Salt Lake issue. Because there's cities, big cities that reuse a lot of, ours is gonna be 2 million gallons a day. But there's a lot of cities that reuse a lot of water out there. Secondaries going in service area 4, you probably noticed that. So it's going in fairly rapid. It'd probably be up and going by midsummer, if not a little bit before then. And then I wanted to clarify what Mark had done on the budget opening, on the treatment plant. We had planned to hopefully be in regularly bid it out and spend money this year. That money is not being spent next year. You'll see it or this year, you'll see it in next year's budget. Because right now we are in design. We'll be in design till probably November. Then in November, it goes to the state of Utah to the water quality. It'll take them 5 or 6 months to run it through their review before we can ever put it out to bid. Our hope is that we can get it out to bid by March timeframe of next year, and so we can start construction next year into the summer. And so some money will be next year, some money will be the following budget year. That's the problem with city budgets. They fall into summer months from old to new. Well, that's right, peak construction period. So it's not that this project's on hold, it's just being designed right now as we speak. And it will have new aeration, or more expanded aeration basins, new clarifier, and some other pieces that make that all work together. So, and it'll be a big project. I think that's all I had. Any questions? And I owe you an apology. I just, numbers are numbers. And I just, if you read them, I want you to understand what you're reading. So, thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Let's see, Dustin back there in the back, do you have anything for us?
All right, I just want to comment on the mold in the basement at the police department. So we're all over it. We have, they're coming to take out some drywall, assess how bad it is. Years of flooding, it's just bound to happen. We'll know more tomorrow, I'll let you know. My hope is that the insurance will cover most of that, and we'll work with Mark to get that resolved. We did have a furnace and AC replaced. It was somewhere around 35 years old, and they don't make them like that anymore. That thing lasted a long time, which was great, but we had to replace that. Mark was great, he helped us get that squared away, and we're up and running already in that area. As far as police update, most of our people are off FTO now. We have 2 more left who are going through training. We've been doing in-service training, using the food pantry, give them some experience before they hit the road. Overall, it's going really well. And the last thing I just want to bring up is we had created a historical feat. We have the first in the history of Box Elder County officer to be chosen as Officer of the Year by the Utah Chief of Police Association. So we'll go celebrate that next week. But
Next week.
yeah, overall, really good things. Yeah, go ahead.
Question. So rumor mill, I don't know what to believe, but some folks at least that were concerned that there might have been an early morning incident on Main Street. A number
Today?
of your vehicles there, yeah.
Yeah, so we had a burglary incident take place, and so we were just saturating the area. Yeah, nothing to worry about. It's pretty rare. We don't have a whole lot of those, so, but we have that relationship with the county highway, so we were able to really get in there. We didn't locate the suspect. We're not sure the details, and I won't go into it too much. I can talk to you offline, but it looks a little suspicious. I don't know exactly
It
if
just drew some attention from the early morning people.
yeah, no, good point. Yeah, good point. But other than that, we have been busy. We've had some pretty complicated cases that we're working on. Once they're resolved, I'm happy to brief you guys on what the outcome is, but I'm pretty excited about it. Any other questions? Go ahead, Brett.
These trailers.
Yeah.
What does the police do about those?
So what we'll do, and what he was talking about, is we'll cite the owner. We usually go knock on the door, do the nice community-oriented policing thing, and then if they don't move it, we'll cite them. A lot of these ordinances is they can, as long as it doesn't stay in the same place for over 24 hours, and a lot of his particular trailer he's dealing with is a contractor who will take it every single day. So he's technically kind of on the border of the city ordinance. He would like to see a harsher punishment for those violations. Our punishment, and I'm pretty sure his neighbor has been cited a couple times, it's really not too bad, but he wants it to be like $300. I'll leave that to you to decide. We'll keep doing our job, but he is kind of teetering the law as the ordinance is currently written. So if we want to reevaluate that, we can always do that, but.
And then, unfortunately, I drive a little school bus through all the tree ones.
Yeah, sure.
Everything. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
In his front yard every day.
But over in Archibald East, Holmgren East, I guess it's called.
Okay.
Over in that area. When we drive through there, there's a few trailers that are kind of become a permanent structure, and maybe you can send some over to take a look at that. We just have so many kids in that neighborhood over there. I'd hate for some little kid to get hit. Now, on the positive side, it's been so nice to have that other road in over there.
Yeah.
Oh, so, that's removed a lot of the traffic, so I'm glad that got done.
Yeah, I made a note. I'll get that taken care of for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Let's see, Brady?
Just a couple quick things. One, the HVAC contractor that helped the police department came over and knocked on our door and said, we have the exact same furnace, same year. So we're holding our breath. A couple things from the fire department. One, I wanted to just give a really sincere shout out to the Public Works Department, who I was struggling with a method to replace our front apron, the ramp, and trying to come up with a budget and a plan to have the concrete all removed where it was broken and then replaced. And so Public Works got a hold of that and found out we were kind of looking, and then 4 days later, it is torn out, replaced, done, complete, everything, and just, so big shout out to Public Works for just bailing us out on the fire department, and that service within the city, helping each other, I think it goes a long ways. So really grateful for that. The other thing I wanted to just let you know so that you'll be aware is that the last 2 days, today and yesterday, I've been meeting with the contractor that is doing the consolidation study for Box Elder County, the fire department consolidation study. So I met with them in Brigham City yesterday. We had some good discussions. They were here in Tremont today and took a tour of the station and going through some things. They asked me for some more information, some financial information. I'll try to have that completed to them tomorrow. And then we anticipate within a short period of time, 2 to 3 weeks, having some kind of information back from that consolidation study group. But the meetings were really positive. Mayor Holmgren's advice to me in the very beginning is let's make sure we're doing what's right for Tremont citizens. I echoed that when I talked to them. I said our lens is to do what's right for Tremont citizens, and whatever that looks like, that's going to be our focus.
Thank you.
Okay. Any questions?
Just so you know, there's some tick for tack with the fire department and public works because we need his ladder truck to change our antennas that read our water meters. And he was more than happy to trade.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thanks. Let's see, I think we've got everybody. Council reports? Jeff?
Three things. So I was asked to look into 3 different areas of interest. One was with the library. The library board has graciously moved their next meeting because annually it is when the conference takes place with the league. And so they've rescheduled it to the 10th of April, so I'll be able to attend that meeting, and I'm looking forward to that. On emergency management, besides doing some significant research into the issue for Utah and our local area, I also had about an hour and a half, actually a little longer, meeting with Mark Millett at the county level. Yesterday, it was an excellent meeting. Not only did we get to discuss a lot, and he educated me a great deal, he also toured me around and let me see the equipment that is there, that is available for different types of emergency response. He also shared with me the state statutes, which I have in front of me. Each town is required by state law to designate an emergency manager. We have one. Graciously, the only thing I would comment on, quite frankly, I don't know how you can possibly do it all. There are some needs there, and I'll bring it up as we go through the budget, but there needs to be better support for this gentleman and his department so that he can actually be a more full-time administrator. But we'll be working together. Mark's going to invite me to the meetings and participate and learn more, which I plan to do. And I'll look at coordinating and learning more from our fire chief as well as that proceeds. We have to have an emergency operations plan by state law. There are a number of things, so I'll be looking forward to getting educated on, are we in compliance with the state laws, and do we need updates? Is everything in good order? Where are we at? And learn more on that. And the last one I have to report on is my biggest folder. Looking at affordable housing or moderate income housing, I spent a couple hours yesterday with Josh from the neighborhood nonprofit, and also some time with Susie Witt from Habitat after that to learn a great deal more. And he said, this is public information now, so I can announce it today. But they did last August, September, late August, early September, acquire the 21 acres that used to be owned by Steve Jensen's father-in-law. Okay. I learned more about that because the county hasn't updated the map ownership yet. They're still showing the father-in-law on the county maps.
That's that field right in the middle of the city.
21 acres from 6 South, headed down from there, and about 7 West to 9th West.
Yeah.
It doesn't go all the way down to Rocket Road, but
I asked that and was asking about that.
yeah, it doesn't go all the way down to Rocket Road, but it's 21 acres. But it'll be, in all reality, 3 to 5 years before you see them actually construct anything, because they have a huge demand. They have a lot of federal money from multiple grants, which I can go into, but it's like, oh my laws, I am impressed by that organization. They look at attempting to do 80 homes a year, housing units, because they do single family, they do cluster homes, they do townhomes, they own apartments. They own 2 apartment complexes here in town, at the west side of town. So they're running rentals there. A lot of the rentals, they can actually make a little profit. Some they don't, because it's based on income. So some, the actual rent is below them being able to maintain the facility. So they have to look to other programs and try to balance budget. Well, not try, they have to balance budget to make that work. And they do approximately 10 rehabilitation projects in this town each year. And the federal funding can go up to, you probably know this, can go up to $14,000 per unit if it warrants it. And then cities like ours sometimes will contribute beyond that, maybe a few $1,000s to help actually get the job done. So they're already engaged in our town in 2 significant ways with the apartments and the rehabilitations, but the future of what they can do there, they don't know how many units might end up there, because it'll depend on what we decide with zoning and how it goes there. Lower cost per unit, obviously, with multifamily or townhomes, they do both. But it was a really quite frankly, encouraging discussion. I wish it was faster. It's not going to be faster with Habitat for Humanity, and I think I've said it before, our numbers are small. We're good to do one home a year, and that's for the whole area, not just any one town. But we get no federal support. But there is a difference, you know, so with Habitat for Humanity, it's a 0% interest loan. The loan is split into two parts, so up to 30% of their income goes toward the first mortgage. If the cost is higher than that, that's the second mortgage, and quite frankly, for the time I've known Habitat, that's forgiven every year. It's not like you're going to pay it later, it's forgiven. That's not true with the Neighborhood Nonprofit Housing Corporation. So they have multiple types of loans that go on there. I'm giving more detail than you probably want, but the lowest is a 1%, but the owner will end up paying the difference between that and the market interest rates at the end of the loan.
There's a lot of sweat
So-
equity with the neighborhood.
With both,
nonprofit.
with both, there is sweat equity, which I like because then you get more buy-in from the buyer. And quite frankly, the belief is they take care of the homes better and plan to be there longer, so good thing. So a lot going on there.
Hey, good. Blair? Brett?
I enjoyed the tour of 25th Street today. I thought that was fun. Oh, in my little adventures through Tree Mountain today, I noticed, Mark, North Park on the south end, I think we put a bunch of junk, if you will, from one of the parks we remodeled. So there's a slide and a bunch of metal, whole bunch of stuff over in that area over there.
In the alley, right? Talking back in the
Yeah,
alley?
back in the alley by the fence by the.
That's our property, but yeah.
Correct, it is. It just seems a little bit like a safety issue with some of the hazards sticking up. I just don't want to see someone hurt. So I just wondering if we couldn't either go bury it or just go make sure that we don't.
Bury it, but we can throw it in our metal pile or
Okay.
dumpster. I'm sure.
Just maybe someone can go take a look at
When
it.
the mayor tells Paul to tell me to go get it, I'll go get it.
Okay.
But it just seemed like a little bit of a safety hazard is all.
We'll make a note of that.
Okay,
Brett.
thanks.
Wes?
I don't have nothing.
Well, I would just like to thank everybody for participating. Appreciate council's insight and comments and what we're able to get done. Appreciate this very much. I have one more.
Make a motion, we dismiss. Adjourn.
Motion by Wes and second by Brett. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion adjourned. Thank you. Meeting adjourned, I mean.